Hello students, again I am here with another video of Unit 2 PC++. In previous two videos we discussed about user defined functions and different features of functions in C++. Our today's topic is about structures, classes and objects in PC++. So the objective of today's video is to know about the difference between structure and class in C++. Also, we need to know how to develop simple programs using class and objects. And we are also covering in today's lecture about memory allocation of objects, member functions, member function declarations, using arrays within class, and defining functions having object as arguments and returning object. Yes students, our first topic is structure in C++. As we are going to discuss about difference between class and structure in C++, let's see what is structure. Structure is a user defined data type which allows user to combine data items of different data types. That means it is same as it is working in a C language. The syntax of structures in C++ is struct, structure name, and then into curly braces member 1, member 2 up to member n. We can declare our members in this section. The difference in C structure and C++ structure is that we can combine data member as well as member functions as a member of a structure in C++. But in C we have only data members as a member of structure. Let's see another differences between C structure and C++ structure. The first one is structure in C cannot have member functions inside structures, where structures in C++ can hold member functions with member variables. The another difference is we cannot initialize the structure data directly in C, while in C++ we can directly initialize the structure data. One more difference, C structures cannot have static members, while C++ structures can have static members. Another difference, C structures does not have access modifiers like private, public and protected, while in C++ structures have access specifiers like private and public. The last one is the data hiding feature is not available in structures in C language, while in C++ data hiding feature is present for the structures. So this is all about the difference between structure of C language and C++ language. Now let's see what is class. The definition says that class is a collection of objects. Yes, we already discussed in our previous videos of Unit 1. Class is a collection of objects. It allows the data and function to be hidden if necessary. Class provides data hiding concept so that data and functions can be hidden. We can declare the class using keyword class and use it as a built-in data type. So we can create the variable of a class which is also known as objects. Now friends, let's see the difference between class and structure in C++. Here we are discussing about what is class and what is structure in C++. See, the first difference is class is a group of objects that share common properties and relationships. Here we are having objects, they are sharing their properties as well as relationships in a class. In a structure, it is a collection of different types of data types. Simply, it is a collection of variables of different data types. The next difference is class members are private by default. Yes, if we do not specify the access modifier, then by default class members are considered as a private members, while in structures members are public by default. The next difference is class elements can be declared as protected. Yes, we have three type of access modifiers here: private, public and protected. In structures we cannot use protected access specifier for structure elements. Then the next difference is classes can be inherited, while structures cannot be inherited. Inheritance concept is not available with structures in C++. Then the next one is a class is a better choice for the complex data structures, while structure should be used with small data structures. Less complex problems can be solved with structures and complex problems can be solved with classes. So this is all about the difference between class and structure in C++. Now let's see the class specification. A class specification has two parts. First one is a class declaration and second one is a class function definition. Yes, whenever we are saying that we are declaring class, that means we are describing the type and scope of its members. Members can be a data member or a member function. We are just defining the type and scope of the members in a class declaration. While class function definition includes how the class functions are implemented. That means the actual implementation of member function of a class can be done by class function definitions. Let's see first of all the class declaration. What is class declaration? We are using a keyword class and then specifying a user defined name to a class, and then access specifiers like private, public or protected. After that data members, that means the variables of the class, and member functions, that means the relationship that objects share, that is method to access the data members. Here one important point is the class must end with a semicolon, that is compulsory. So this is how we are declaring a class. So the variable which is declared inside the class declaration is known as a data member, and a function which is declared inside a class declaration, it is known as a member function. Private and public specifies the scope of the class members. We can have three type of specifiers in C++ class: private, public and protected. Here let's discuss about the access specifiers. The first one is a private. So what is private specifier is used? It can be accessed only from within the same class. That means a data member or a member function which is declared under the private label, then it can be accessed only from within the same class. They cannot be accessed outside the class. Encapsulation is possible due to the private access modifier. Yes, private access modifier provides the facility to implement encapsulation. Only the member function of the class can access the private data member and private member functions of the same class. Another access specifier is a public. It can be accessed from outside the class also. That means whatever data members and member functions declared under public label can be accessed from outside the class. That means we can access public members from the main function. There are no restrictions for accessing public members of a class, and by default the scope of the class members is private. Friends, here we have another access specifier, that is protected. That particular access specifier we will discuss in the topic when we discuss about the inheritance. Let's see the example. Here, class student, private label is given, that means access specifier private, and under this label we have two data members, that is integer number and character name. And then another access specifier, that is public, is given, and under that label we have declared two functions, void get data and void put data. That means number and name are the data members which are declared as a private members, and get data and put data are the member functions which are declared under the public scope of a class. Now let's see our next topic, that is objects. Object is a basic runtime entity in object-oriented systems. Object is one type of class variable. As we discussed in our previous slides, that class is a collection of object. That means object is a one type of variable of type class. Object can be declared same as the other variables declaration. Syntax to declare an object is class name and object name. Let's see. We can declare objects in two ways. The first one is we can declare object with class declaration itself. Here is the example in which class student is declared having two data member, number and name, and two member functions, get data and put data. See, at the closing bracket of class we have specified three object names S1, S2 and S3, and after that we have put semicolon. That means class ends here. We can see that S1, S2 and S3 are the object of class student, which is done declaration of object with the class declaration. The another method is we can declare object with other variables in main function, like student we have to specify the name of a class and then S1, S2, S3, as we are declaring integer variables like int a, b, c. Same way we have to specify data type student and then variable names S1, S2 and S3. The next thing is accessing class members. Yes. Now friends, we have declared data members as well as member functions in a class declaration. So the next thing is how to access those members from the class. In C++, we can access the class members outside the class also. The members which are declared as a public members can be accessed outside the class. For that we have to use the object of the class. The syntax to access a public member of a class is object name dot function name and then argument list. That means if I have specified get data function as a public member function of a class, then I can access that function using object name S1, then dot and then function name. The next thing is about memory allocations for objects. Yes, now we would like to know about how the objects can be allocated in a memory. The memory space is allocated to the data member of a class only when an object of the class is declared. Since a single data member can have different values for different objects at same time. So, for each object of a class, it has individual copy of the data members. That means if we are having S1, S2 and S3, three objects of class student, then two data member like integer, number and name are stored separately for each and every object S1, S2 and S3. The next thing is about member functions. Member function will occupy the memory space only once when they are defined in a class. So, for all the objects created for a class, can use same member function. We can say they can share same member function and no separate space is allocated for the member functions of each object, because at a time only one object can access that member function. See, here we have specified the memory allocation of objects. Here member function 1, 2 and 3 are in a shared memory which is shared by object 1, object 2 and object 3. Also, objects are having their own copy of data members, that is object 1 is having data member 1 and data member 2 stored separately by object 2 and object 3. Let's see the example. Here we have an example of class book. It is having two data members, that is title of a book and price of a book. They both are declared as a private data members. And here we are having two member functions, that is get data and put data, and these two are declared as a public member of a class. Now in main function, class book is having three objects, that is book 1, book 2 and book 3. So as get data and put data are the public members of the class, we can access get data function and put data function from the main function using the object like book1.getData and book1.putData. So this is how we are accessing the member function from the class. Now let's see the memory allocation for our book class. Here see get data and put data, these two are the public member functions, and these two are, as they are member functions, can be shared by the object book 1, book 2 and book 3, while title and price are the data members of the class, so they are stored separately in a memory for each and every object, that is book 1, book 2 and book 3 are having separate copy of data members like title and price. Now let's forward to our next topic, that is defining member functions. Member functions can be defined in two ways. The first one is a outside of the class definition and second one is a inside the class definition. Let's see the first one. We can define member functions outside the class. So their definitions are very much similar to the normal functions, but they should have a function header and a function body as they are having in a normal function. The syntax to define a member function outside the class is shown here. Return type, then class name and scope resolution operator symbol, and then function name and argument list. After that we can specify the function body. See friends, here we have used scope resolution operator to get function name from the scope of a class, that is class name. See the example, class student. Here we are having two member functions, get data and put data. Here after completion of the class declaration we have defined one member function, that is get data. See, void, that is a return data type of a function, then student is a name of a class to which this get data function belongs, and then scope resolution operator to get the get data function outside the class, and then name of a function, and then function body. Now the next thing is defining member function inside the class. Yes, the another way. Whenever we replace the function declaration by the actual function definition inside the class declaration, then it is called member function definition inside class. That means we can define a function within a class declaration. When a function is defined inside the class, it is treated as a inline function. As we discussed in our previous video, what is inline function? It is expanded in line function. See the example again, class student. It is having one member function, that is void get data, which is defined within a class declaration. See, here we have to define our function similarly same as we are defining our normal functions. So the body of function will be included within the class declaration, and then void put data, that is just a simple declaration of another member function. So this is all about objects and class in C++. Now students, let's see one example in which we can declare a class, we can define a member functions, we can access the object and member functions, and a simple program using class and object. So here is the simple program in which we have declared a class student having two data members, integer number and character name, and two member functions, void get data and void put data. See, here put data function is defined within class declaration. So we can say it is a function definition inside the class. It simply print the value of data members number and name. See friends, here we can see that private data members number and name can be accessed in the function body of public member function, that is put data. And at the last we can see the class student ends with one object declaration, that is S1. Here we can see the object declaration with class declaration. The next thing is a function definition of get data function outside the class. See, here we have defined our function get data outside the class using the syntax, that is first one is a return data type of a function, that is void, then name of a class, that is student, then scope resolution operator to access this get data member function from outside the scope of a class, and then name of a function. This function simply read the value of data members number and name from the user. Now let's see the main function section, in which we have declared one more object of the class, that is student S2. Student is a name of a class and S2 is a name of a object. We can see the object declaration in a main function section like normal other variables. Then see, here we are accessing the member functions of class student using objects. S1.getData, S2.getData will call the function getData, and S1.putData and S2.putData will call the function putData. Now let's see the output. Here the first S1.getData will call the getData function, and we have to specify the information which is required. Enter the number, that is 11, and name. I am writing my own name. And once again S2.getData function line is executed, and I am writing again the number 12, and once again I have to enter some name like Preeti madam. Now see, after that S1.putData and S2.putData line executed one by one. So S1.getData prints, S1.putData prints number 11 and name Neha, and S2.putData prints number 12 and name Preeti. So this is all about how class and objects works with C++. Now students, let's see our next topic, that is nesting of member functions. Yes, a member function can be called by using its name inside another member function of the same class. This is known as a nesting of member functions. Yes, it is similar to the nesting of normal functions. See, here I have given one example, that class student is having void put data member function and void total marks. Two member functions are given here, in which void put data member function is calling total marks member function inside its function body. So it is similar to the nesting of functions in a C programs, right? So this is called nesting of member functions. Now let's see about the private member functions. So far now we have discussed about the member functions which are declared in public sections. We have accessed those member functions from the main function also using the help of objects. Now we are talking about the private member functions. Normally we define data members as private and function members as public. But in some cases we may require to declare functions also as a private member of a class. So that private member functions are allowed to be accessed within the class only. As they are declared as private, we can access those member functions within class declaration only. So here is the example. In this example, class array has been declared with int a size, that is its data member, void swap, it is member function which is used to swap values within array elements, and in public section we have declared void get array function. We have defined it within the class declaration which is used to read the value of array, and then void sort will be used to perform sorting of the array elements. See friends, here swap I comma j, this function is our private member function which is called within the class declaration and within the public member function sort of this class. So this is how we can access a private member function within the class declaration. Then next we are having a put array function which is used to simply display the array elements. In void main section we have one object of class array which is calling get array function by the line a1 dot get array. Then it is calling sort function by a1 dot sort, and indirectly this line also calls the swap function because it is written inside the void sort. And at the last a1 dot put array, it is used to display the result of sorted array. So this example well illustrates the use of private member functions and how they can be accessed within other member functions of a class. So this is all about the private member function in a C++ class. Our next topic is arrays within a class. Yes, arrays can be declared as the member of a class. We can declare any data member as array within a class. The arrays can be declared as public or private member of a class. Let's see the example here. Once again, class array is taken as example, and const int size 5, we have declared one integer variable size with value 5 which is constant, and that is used as a size of array A. See, here we have declared int A as the array of integer elements in our private section. And then in public section we have defined two member functions. First one is a get array and second one is a put array. Get array is used to read the array elements and put array is used to display the array elements. So in void main section we are just declaring one object of class array. It is calling get array by a1.getArray line, and a1.put array line will call function put array. So this is how arrays can be handled with class and objects. The next thing is about returning and passing objects as arguments. Yes friends, we can pass object as a function argument, and also we can have an object as a return data type for the function. A copy of entire value or object is passed to the function, which is called call by value method. Only address of object is transferred to the function, which is called call by reference or pass by reference method. Yes, call by value and call by reference method that we discussed in our previous videos. Whenever an object of a class is passed to a member function of the same class, its data members can be accessed inside the function using the object name and the dot operator. Here is the example of passing and setting as an argument of the objects. See the example of class complex, which is having two data members, int real and int imaginary. In complex numbers we have two parts, real part and imaginary part. So these two data members are used to hold real and imaginary part of a complex number. Now we are having a member function read data, which will read the imaginary and real part of a complex number. Then we are having display sum function, which is used to get the sum of real and imaginary parts of respective objects of the class. And the third thing is a void add complex numbers, that is used to add. Here is the example of passing object as a argument. See, here we have defined one class, that is class complex. It is having two data members. First one is a real and second one is a imaginary. Real and imaginary are the two parts of any complex number. Then we are having in public section void read data function, that is used to read the value of real and imaginary data members. After that we are having display sum function, which is used to display the sum of two objects, real and imaginary parts. And we are having one more function that is used to add the real and imaginary part of the two different complex numbers. Then in main section we have declared three objects, C1, C2 and C3. C1 is calling read data function. Then in the next line C2 is calling read data function, and in the next line C3 dot add complex numbers with two arguments, C1 comma C2. Here C1 and C2 are the object of type class complex. See, here we can see the objects are being passed as a argument to the member function of a class, that is add complex numbers. So this is how we can pass the object as a argument to a function. Now see, here at the last function call C3 dot display sum, will be used to display the sum of two complex numbers of the class complex. Let's run the program. Here we have to put values for real and imaginary part of a object 1 and object 2. See, 3 plus 5 8 and 4 plus 5 9 I. Imaginary part is having I component associated with it. So this is how we have just assigned two values, that is real 3 and imaginary 4 to first object, and then real 5 and imaginary 5 to second object, and using C3 dot add complex numbers member function, which is having two object as argument, we are using the values of two objects to add those numbers, and then we are displaying the sum of values of data members of the two different objects using the third object. This is how passing object as argument works. Same way we can have return data type of a function as of class type. That means we can have complex, add complex numbers, complex 1 and complex 2 type of function definition, which is used to return an object as a function return type. So this is all about passing object as a argument in C++. Students, I hope you understand all the topics covered in this video. Enjoy learning C++. Thank you.